you know, we live in a country that I think most of us realize, yeah, a lot of the founding fathers were Christian, you know, although some of that is debatable as far as some of them. I know some of them were, or did pronounce that they were Christians, but I think that they believed, obviously, in, you know, tolerance, that, you know, everybody should be free to worship what they want to worship, or be a part of whatever religion they want to be a part of. Now, my mom, who's probably going to get upset at me for doing this, or saying this about her, but, you know, she just visited recently, and she's what a lot of people would call a bleeding heart liberal. She's extremely liberal. I think even she would call herself that. And, you know, I was kind of surprised because, I guess I just never really thought about it, but she was basically saying that she doesn't believe in the right to bear arms. And, you know, although I kind of consider myself more to the liberal side of things, you know, that's one thing that I guess because of my lack of trust for the government and just anybody in power really in general, call me jaded if you want, I don't know, you know, that's one right that I can't ever see doing away with. And I know that, you know, saying that or being that way really makes me sound more like a conservative Republican, which I despise. So I hate sounding that way. But, you know, like I said, because of a lack of trust for the government, I believe that we should always have the right to bear arms. I believe it keeps the government in check to some degree because of the fact that they know we have arms. If they were to take that away, we would be basically at the, you know, at the mercy of whatever they wanted to do. Now, that doesn't mean to say that I think everybody in government is out to control or is evil or what have you, but I think there's been enough instances in the past to show, you know, a litany of things that didn't really make sense for the government to do that would be considered evil and nasty, and I'm putting it kind of lightly here as far as what I really feel about that, but nonetheless, me and my mom had kind of a, not really an argument, more like a debate. We weren't really heated about it, and my husband too, and you know, he believes in the right to bear arms, and you know, it just basically seems like my mom and her liberal views, which I think, you know, go along, she considers herself agnostic, you know, they kind of go together a little bit as far as, you know, well, we don't know, so let's just all be happy, why are we worried about this kind of stuff? You know, and if you you know, feel like you have to have guns and so on and so forth, well, you know, that just sets a bad precedence, and that just means that the bad guys will always have guns, and it's like, no, you know, the bad guys will always have guns. That's why you want good guys to have guns also, because you're never going to be able to get rid of the bad guys having guns. Nobody's ever going to come together, sing kumbaya, and decide, you know, we trust the government and we're just going to lay our weapons down and let just the government have weapons. It's just not going to happen. It's not reasonable. Which is why I guess I agree with that particular right. Probably more so than any other of them at this point. So I guess basically, but what I want to know, or what I'm trying to figure out in my own mind, and maybe, like I said, you guys can tell me what you think, or if you've thought about this. But, you know, the whole idea of that this is, you know, a country where everybody has the right to believe what they want, and I think that's great on one level. On another level, I look at all these, you know, the very fundamental religious people, the people who have gone to Fanaticville, and whether it's Muslim, Christian, whatever religion, I think we see it mostly with the Muslims and Christians today. I'm sorry, but I think that's the truth of it. And you know, you hear they call them the Four Horsemen, you know, that, like, was it Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, Richard Dawkins, and who's the other guy? Can't think of the other guy's name right at the moment. But anyway, they, you know, I think they have all said at one point or another that they think that even though tolerance is good, that we have to still call these religions out as far as the things that they're believing, or the parts of their doctrine that are inhumane, that are not moral things. And I think that that is important. And in doing that, though, in a sense, we're either, you know, maybe causing them to stop believing or stop being religious, or maybe we might do things based off of the fact that we believe that what they're believing is immoral, that might hinder them from being able to practice or whatever, which in a lot of senses may be morally the high ground thing to do, considering some of the things that a lot of atheists, even just here on YouTube, have identified in various religions that are, whether it's anything from just the brainwashing involved in it all, the dishonesty, the lack of reasoning, but more importantly, the immorality of it. Now, you know, I know that there's a lot of Christians, especially, because I know more Christians than I do Muslims, that, you know, they don't do anything wrong. I mean, for the most part. But, you know, as they say, what you believe kind of dictates what your actions are going to be. And like I said, that doesn't mean that, you know, Christians or even Muslims, I'm sure, you know, they don't necessarily even look at what's in their own doctrine enough to really know that what they're believing or what they're worshiping is a lot of times more immoral than I think even they would be. And I don't think enough religious people even consider that. In fact, I would say that a lot of people that I've met that claim to be Christian or claim to be whatever, you know, Lutheran, Pentecostal, Catholic, a lot of times they don't even know what is in the doctrine that they're supposedly believing in. Either they haven't read it, or they haven't studied it, or they have some kind of really twisted view of what it says or what it means, to where they're basically just trying to twist it to make it sound okay. And we've all seen that here on YouTube. Just on YouTube, which is a small chunk of, you know, the world, which I guess is how I look at it. But I guess what I'm really trying to get to, and I know I'm not doing it very well, is, you know, as atheists, you know, do we have an obligation to do this? And I mean, yeah, just, you know, arguing with people or debating with people or trying to get them to see that this is this big, you know, brainwashing that has been done to humanity for however many years. You know, trying to get them to do that, I think, is a part of the solution. That is a part of kind of, you know, at least trying to speak out. I mean, that is doing something, I think, on a greater level than maybe even we realize. But should more be done? In other words, you know, I've heard a lot of atheists, oh, well, you know, I mean, on the one hand, you look at it, you say, well, religion, or, you know, whatever people are having faith in or worshiping or whatever. I mean, in a sense, anybody can get obsessed about anything. It's an idea, you know, and I don't think most atheists really want to, like, get rid of religion, or, because in a sense, you're getting rid of an idea that maybe on the one hand can be a totally innocent thing. It can maybe do really good things for people in a lot of senses. And I think we've all, you know, talked to people where, oh, okay, you used to be a heroin addict, and then you found God, and now all of a sudden, you know, you go to church and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, hey, that's great. I don't see anything wrong in that, except for the fact that a lot of times, well, for one thing, in my perception, and I think in a lot of atheist perception, you're exchanging one addiction for another addiction. Because I think a lot of atheists have come to the conclusion, or at least I have, that religion is an addiction. You know, I think a lot of people use it for different reasons, whether it's because they have this need to be right or feel like they're on the side of right, and, you know, kind of a narcissistic kind of thing, or it can be that they're trying to, you know, they have a lot of regret or a lot of guilt about something that they used to do, and they figure that this is the only way to control themselves, you know, to keep them from drinking or keep them from doing drugs, is if they go to church every Sunday and they read their Bible. And, you know, and a lot of times these people have a very bad view of humanity. They think humans without some kind of God that gave them some kind of morals would just be heathenistic, bent on evil creatures. And I mean, I guess we don't really have, you know, a control group or whatever, because the religion has always been here since we've been here. But I guess what I'm wondering is, if we don't make a big issue out of it, or we don't try to really, in a sense, get rid of religion, it's going to keep getting passed down from generation to generation. And I know a lot of people, well, you know, you can't get rid of religion, it's unrealistic. And that's probably true. Just like you can't really, I guess, eradicate fanaticism. You can't eradicate, psychoticism or whatever, psychosis. You can't make those things not happen. But I don't know. I mean, religion being probably one of the major reasons for wars and everything since the beginning of time, and so on and so forth, and just all the fighting and the families splitting up because of it, and the brainwashing, and just the guilt that it causes, the shame that it causes people.